Hey everybody. A lot has been going on past couple of days. Especially with Hillary and her email and server scandal. Now I wanted to review a posting, an article called Clinton's Nixonian email scandal. I chuckled at that Nixonian. So almost like Watergate. And they're saying it's deepening. But towards the end, they talk about Bernie Sanders' involvement in it, in a way. So let's get right to it. It starts off with, when it comes to Hillary Clinton's State Department email scandal, reporters and even her right-wing critics in the Republican Party are asking the wrong questions. Sure, doing all her official business on an unprotected, unscrambled private server in her own home and on an unsecured private BlackBerry phone device means that any two-bit spy outfit, not to mention sophisticated ones like those of Russia, Iran, Israel, and China, could easily hack in and read secret State Department and other agency communications. But really, those entities have ways of getting that kinds of secret stuff anyhow. That's true. There's a will, there's a way. But she just left the door open. It was like an invitation. Come on in. Okay, let's get back. Now it goes on to say, the real question is what kind of private conversations Clinton, in her role as Secretary of State, was having with powerful people, both at home and abroad, that may have involved cash donations to the Clinton Foundation and to her and Bill's personal enrichment or her future campaign for president. See, that is separate from the negligence, I'll say, of her using the server that's unsecured. That's separate. When they read those emails, that's going to be a different, I'm just going to say, escalated issue. Okay? You know what it really gets me today? After this comes out, they must have paid another $1 million because those Hillbots are out on the internet defending her tooth and freaking nail. Alright, I'm going to go on. Hillary Clinton is a lawyer, and while she's slippery, she's no dummy. She may have played dumb when asked earlier by reporters about her server's hard drive being wiped clean of data before she turned it over to the FBI by saying, "What, like with a cloth or something? I don't know how it all works." Is she that dumb? If she's that dumb, because kindergarten kids probably know more about computers than she does, that means. But really, did the bleach that she uses for her blonde hair soak into her brain? She's just plain dumb. And she actually, I think, contradicted herself right there. What, like with a cloth or something? Meaning she's trying to insinuate that a cloth to wipe off the server. But then her second statement, her second sentence is, "I don't know how it works at all." So that means she knew the inference or reference when somebody asked her about wiping her hard drive clean of data. Because she wouldn't have said that second sentence. She would have just left it at dusting it. So then it goes on to say, but she surely was involved in the deletion of her private emails. Over 30,000 of them. I think it was 31,000, of which were reportedly erased. I also heard, but I don't see it in this article, that the FBI was able to retrieve a majority, like 28,000 of them. Okay. Alright, back to this. And those erasures were made without any involvement of State Department security or legal offices. The decision, according to Clinton, on which emails were private communications was made by her personal attorney, whose interest by definition was her and not the public or even national security for that matter. Somebody brought up, I think it was Tim Black, or it could have been H.A. Goodman. I watched, they had an event, I think it was last night. I love those two guys. But in any case, on YouTube. In any case, one of them brought up the fact that even her personal emails, if she's saying, okay, I'm going to be going to China next week, that's a personal email, yes. She's telling her daughter that, or her best friend, or whatever. But that means whoever is being able to read her emails can, in fact, know she's going to be, the Secretary of State is going to be in China what day, and then they can find out which flights are going, or find out flight patterns that's filed with the FAA. I guess I'm pretty sure government officials still have to file flight plans to avoid collisions in the air with commercial airlines. So, you know, and so many other issues that could arise from hackers being able to see her personal emails. Oh, I'm going to do yoga. Or I'm going to this restaurant. They can plant a bomb in the restaurant if they want to. They'll know she's going to a restaurant. So, let's just get right back to this. So now, as the Washington Post has reported, the Clintons went from being, as Hillary has said, dead broke upon leaving the White House in January 2000, to earning some $230 million by this year. So, from 2000 to 2016, in 16 years, they raised $230 million. And I think they have 3 or 5 houses. And they're not small little 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom houses. With land. A staggering sum of money, even in the new gilded age of obscene wealth. Most of this money has been little more than influence buying by corporations and wealthy people trying to curry favor with a woman who was already Secretary of State, perhaps the second most powerful position in the U.S. government, and whom many expected to become the next president. Now that, to me, is telling. I like that. Well, maybe not telling, but maybe they know something that I don't know, or that the public doesn't know. Right there. Perhaps the second most powerful position in the U.S. government, and whom many expected to become the next president after Obama. So, what? It's not expected anymore because of all of this? Huh? I hope so. Influenced by corporations. See, so most of this money has been little more than influence buying by corporations and wealthy people. So, in other words, that part of that $230 million that she and her family accrued was people giving her money to get things done, favors done. The power couples 2 foundations, the Clinton Foundation and the Clinton Global Initiative. A lot of people, including myself, forget about that second one. Clinton Global Initiative. Now together, reportedly, are worth $2 billion. Okay? So that $230 million is their personal finances. Their foundations and their initiative is worth $2 billion. And they were broke. I'd like to figure out, well, no, I don't want to know. I was going to say, I'd like to figure out how they were able to even get a freaking $1 million in 16 years. Because I am so freaking broke, it's pitiful. Anyway, back to this. So both function effectively as money laundering operations, their initiative in the foundation, their money laundering operations, providing salaries to the Clinton family members and their friends. And Hillary Clinton, particularly while serving as President Obama's Secretary of State, was in perfect position to do favors for unsavory foreign leaders seeking to have their countries kept off of State Department lists of human rights violators, and for U.S. businesses seeking lucrative business deals abroad. They pay her, she gets things done for shady-ass countries and shady-ass businesses. It's those kind of email conversations that would have benefited from a private server, since U.S. State Department official computers have dedicated backup systems that would be hard or impossible to wipe clean, and also are by law subject to Freedom of Information inquiries from journalists and the public. It beggars belief to think that Hillary Clinton wasn't hiding such conversations when she had private emails deleted from her server. Now, the FBI is known to be investigating Clinton's private emails with as many as 100. I heard 147. But we'll go with 100 in this article. As many as 100 FBI personally assigned to this investigation. Already, one key privately hired tech assistant who worked on Clinton's private server, Brian Pagliano, has become a cooperating witness granted immunity from prosecution by the U.S. Justice Department in that investigation. Usually an indication that the FBI is expecting to indict someone else. Yeah, they're not going to indict Brian Pagliano if he's a cooperating witness and granted immunity from prosecution. That stands to reason. Now, he was a tech guy working on her server, so he would probably know quite a bit. Now, if he ends up dead sometime soon, or disappears, we know where to look, don't we? Now, key Clinton aides, notably her top aide, Huma Abedin, I guess that's how you say her last name, have also been interviewed by FBI agents, with the expectation that Clinton will be interviewed herself soon by federal agents. But there is no indication from the Justice Department or the FBI as to when, if ever, the results of that investigation will be released. Now, why wouldn't they release it? That I don't understand. And that the interview that they had with Huma, from what I understand, her attorney, now Huma is a lawyer herself, so she had told them that through her attorney that certain subjects were off the table. She would not discuss certain subjects. What those certain subjects were, us public, peon public, are not permitted to know, or at least right now. Maybe it'll be leaked. Anyway, so Huma was asked a particular question that was related to whatever subject she said was off the table, and she stormed out of the interview room. So, and from what I hear, which is not in this article, they've invited Hillary, the FBI has invited her to questions, to sit down and be interviewed or interrogated, or have questions posed to her, whichever way you want to look at it. And she's declined. Isn't that nice that she could get away with that? What else is she going to get away with? However, Political reports that on Wednesday, a report by the State Department's Office of Inspector General, the State, I read Slate, has issued its report on the emails. It is a scathing indictment concluding that Clinton failed to comply with the U.S. government and State Department policies on records, and that counter to assertions, wow, I can't read, and that counter to assertions made publicly by her, she never sought permission from the department's legal staff to use a private server. Lie? Does she lie? A request which, if made, the reports insist, would not have been approved. The Inspector General report states, at a minimum, Secretary Clinton should have surrendered all emails dealing with department business before leaving the government service, and because she did not do so, she did not comply with the department's policies and that were implemented in accordance with the Federal Records Act. So that, yes, that's serious, but I mean, she's past that serious, in my estimation. She's way beyond that. That's like, you quit a job, or you get fired from a job, or whatever, you leave, retire, and you accidentally have some of their records. Yes, you could get in trouble for that, but what are in those records? What do you need those records for? And then if some of those records they know that you have, and may accidentally go missing, or they're deleted, that doesn't show any form of suspicion. That wouldn't get normal people into trouble. I guess she's not normal, right? It's not as though Clinton didn't know what she was doing was wrong and even illegal. The just released report states that technology staff in the State Department's Office of Information Resource Management who raised concerns about her private server were instructed by the department's director, who was appointed by Clinton, not to question the arrangement. So if any of her staff asked, is this okay? Don't talk about it. It's off limits. When one staffer mentioned that her private account could contain federal records that needed to be preserved in order to satisfy federal record-keeping requirements, the report says the director of that office had stated that the secretary's personal system had been reviewed and approved by the department legal staff, and that the matter was not to be discussed any further. Yet, the Inspector General says that assertion by the director was false. There we go, lying. So he should be in trouble too. He or she. They don't say. I think it's a he. Yet the Inspector General says that assertion, I just read that. Yet the Inspector General says that assertion by the director was false, as there was in fact no evidence that in the State Department's office of the legal advisor or had ever reviewed or approved the private system or even been asked to do so by Clinton. So there's no records. Now watch, all of a sudden some records are going to pop up. They'll have some tea poured on them to make them look like they were misplaced or fabricated, completely fabricated. Again and again, through her 4 years at State, Clinton is found to have resisted efforts to get her to stop using exclusively her private email to conduct official business. On several occasions, the report says, she expressly said her concern was having her mail subjected to FOIA, or in other words, public discovery. She was afraid that her personal emails... Now what? Is she gay, lesbian, and she doesn't want people to know that she's lesbian? I read that online. Is she an alcoholic? Is she a drug addict trying to score drugs online? Is she doing espionage through email? What could be that personal? NSA knows everything about us. Why can't we know everything about them? Or at least the government know everything about them. Clinton tried to claim that since her communications with State Department personnel ended up on their servers, there were records of her communications there. So she's trying to say, oh, well, why do I have to keep a copy since they already, if I send them a reply or I send them an email, they have a copy, so I can delete mine. But that has nothing to do with the personal email, that 30,000 personal emails that you erased. But as the report notes, that wouldn't include any State Department related communication she had with persons outside of the state, just like I just said. Department or the government, and those are precisely the kinds of conversations that the public really needs to know about, particularly when we're talking about someone who is running for the top position in the government, president, and who has demonstrably spent years with her hand out to powerful people and organizations. Grease my palm, baby! After all, it is those communications that would include any discussions of financial transactions involving foreign or domestic interests seeking beneficial assistance from Madam Secretary. This scandal is not about someone simply ignoring those arcane rules as Secretary of State. Now, why they call it arcane, I don't know. To me, it sounds like rules that make excellent sense. Because if one person's server is destroyed, at least they have a backup copy on somebody else's server. And they could corroborate those two. Why they're saying it's arcane, I have no clue. But in any case, as Secretary of State, Clinton had a legal obligation to operate in an above-the-board, legal and transparent manner in conducting the business of the government. So if she didn't do it then, what makes anybody think that she will do it now as president? She won't! Get it through your friggin' thick skulls! Instead, for 4 years in office, she conducted that business in a manner that only be called Nixonian, opting to openly violate the rules, to hide her communications from government oversight and public review, to dissemble about her allegedly having received clearance to do so, which is a lie, and even to attempt to erase records from her server when ordered to turn them over. Furthermore, suspicions have to be raised because if Clinton's concerns were about people accessing her genuinely personal emails, she had only to set up her State Department email address and obtain a State Department secure BlackBerry phone and just limit her personal server and personal BlackBerry to genuinely personal emails and calls, conducting all State Department businesses on State Department systems. In other words, here's my State Department BlackBerry, here's my iPhone that's for my personal. I can tell the difference. It's easy. But if she can't do that, if she can't keep up with, I should email somebody regarding business on my BlackBerry, and I should email my daughter about yoga and lunch on my iPhone. If she can't do that much, then she's not qualified to even, I don't know. She's definitely not qualified to be in the government. Bernie Sanders so far has declined to make an issue of Clinton's email scandal. But this is the part where I tell you where they talk about Bernie. But as more information has come out from the Inspector General's office, from a FOIA lawsuit currently in the deposition stage in federal court, and ultimately from the ongoing FBI investigation reportedly nearing its conclusion, it has become obvious that Sanders is being far too kind to her. When he poo-pooed the scandal in response to a debate moderator's question during the first televised public debate he had with Clinton, the scandal was still fairly new. That's not true. It was all hush-hush in the media. You had to know where to look online to find out what the progress was going on, but it wasn't new. This has been going on for quite some time, long before the first debate. Today, with release of the IGO report, it has become much more serious. Now that Sanders has agreed to a pre-Californian primary televised debate with Donald Trump, following Hillary Clinton's refusal to honor an earlier agreement to debate him, he will obviously be asked about her email scandal before a riveted national audience. Okay, a couple of things in that. Yes, when she needed more debates because she was starting to trail a little bit and he was gaining momentum after a string of wins, she asked if they could debate again. Bernie Sanders agreed. Being the gentleman or being the politician, whichever way you want to look at it, yes, he agreed to more debates. If she agreed to X number of debates. She agreed to X number of debates. I think it was three additional debates. And one of them was supposed to be in May, which it is now, and before the California primary. And next week, the 7th, I think it's a little bit over a week from now, is the California primary. So now she, oh, I don't need to do that because I am the presumptive nominee. So, F you, I will break my promise. And she looks down her nose. And she cackles. I hate her cackling. I have to calm down. My blood. Do you see how red I'm getting? Blood pressure is through the fucking roof with this shit. Excuse my language. So freaking annoyed with this crap. Alright, so here we go. Again, see, but why they have to drag him into her freaking scandal, I don't know. He will, okay, following Hillary's refusal, right, so she refused to debate him. Yeah, now she refuses because now it's not prudent for her. Goes back on her promises. How many times do you think she's going to break any of the crap she's saying now? During her platform. None of it. None of it will she keep. Mark my words. Mark millions of people's words. And then they say about Donald Trump. Donald Trump had agreed, Bernie Sanders, because she declined, Bernie Sanders wrote an open letter to Donald Trump and sent it to Jimmy Kimmel Show because he was on the Jimmy Kimmel Show the night before and they were discussing the debate that she declined. So he left an open letter because Trump was going to be on the next day. Trump came on the next day. Jimmy Kimmel read Bernie's letter to him and he said, sure, I'd love to do that. So Bernie heard about that, tweeted out, good, we're on. So everybody was like, hip hip hooray, at least we get another debate before California. And that how great this would be with Trump, the leading GOP, and Bernie, who a lot of people claim have very similar, they touch upon very similar emotions within people. And that's why both of them are drawing large crowds. But Bernie has much larger crowds. And crowds that don't have constant riots. Bernie's rallies never have protesters outside of them. I think twice he's had Black Lives Matter inside inside a rally. The last one was where they said, say her name. And after he said her name, I think it was Tamira Rice. I can't remember. He read a whole list of names, I think. And after that, they stopped. But just the other day, just yesterday, and the whole month of May, every freaking rally that Clinton has had, there's been protesters outside. Every freaking rally that Trump has, there's riots outside, police on horseback, police in riot gear. So now Donald Trump said, sure, let's do it. Now today, this morning, or late last night, he came out and said, oh, that was just a joke. But if he really wants to debate, he can give me $10 million. Because, you know, I'll give it to charity. Yeah, like he gave money that he collected for the veterans. He kept most of it. I'm going to have to do a separate video just on his butt. So now they're saying that he needs to, he's going to be asked that in the debate. Now I doubt Trump is going to do the debate. Trump knows that Bernie Sanders only has about $6 million left right now, unless he gets a lot of donations. Tomorrow is Bernie and Jane's 28th anniversary, so maybe he'll get a lot of donations. But I doubt he'll get $4 million in donations. And even if he got $4 million, it equal $10 million. I doubt he would spend $10 million just to debate his butt. So what? He has to bow down to Trump and pay him? I would turn around and say, pay me, MF. I'm worth $20 million. Sarcastic SOB. So if he doesn't raise the issue sooner on the campaign trail, Sanders must take that opportunity to denounce her illegal behavior. Why does he have to denounce Hillary's illegal behavior? Did he do it? Was he involved? To question her motives in hiding her communications as Secretary of State. What does that have to do? To question her motives, I don't know, and to demand that she come clean by providing copies of all her emails during that period. She didn't listen to him when he said he wanted to see her transcript from Wall Street speeches. Did she listen to that? Nope. She came up with the excuse, upon excuse, upon excuse. If it is important for her to release the transcripts of her closed-door and lucrative speeches to Wall Street banks, it is far more so for her to explain why she was conducting State Department business on her private email and trying so hard to avoid Freedom of Information Act scrutiny. What, is he now the FBI? Is he in does he work for the Inspector General? Why does he have to do that? Sanders should start pointing out the obvious reality that should Clinton not come clean, and should she become the Democratic nominee for president this July, she faces the possibility of an embarrassing and damaging final report from the FBI during the election campaign. Or perhaps even an indictment, and the certainty of 5 months of hammering on the issue by her Republican opponent. So July is the convention, November is the general election. So that's the 5 months. They're saying that the Republicans will just hammer away at her. Furthermore, if somehow elected, they will follow an inevitable and campaign by the Republicans in Congress to try and impeach her for high crimes and misdemeanors committed while serving as Secretary of State in the prior administration. That would make a joke of her campaign slogan, a president who gets things done. So, what I like to know, and I'm racking my brain on this one. Should he bring that up at all in his rallies, you think? Of what it would be if she got impeached and he spent all this time fighting against her, unless he was vice president, then then he could just step into her shoes if she got impeached. That's an option. But I don't think she's going to win. It's going to be very tough for Bernie to win, yes. But I don't think she's going to win. I'm staying positive about that. But if, whatever, she was to become the nominee, it is true that the Republicans, now Bernie's out of the picture, picture that. He's out of the picture, but the Republicans are going to hammer away at her about everything. Should he bring that up to his people at his rallies, his supporters at his rallies, saying, you know, spread the word that she could be indicted at any time, that it's going to only get worse for her. She's already losing to Trump in the polls. What do you think this is going to do to her? Don't you think they're going to take this even just as it is now, without an indictment, just the scandal? Do you want a president or a nominee even that is definitely going to lose to a Republican because of this? No. Vote for me, Bernie. Now, should he bring that up at rallies? Maybe he should just make I think maybe he should have his surrogates go out for him. He shouldn't say it himself. That's my opinion. I don't know. What's your opinion, guys? I'm a little perplexed on this one. Because I know he said in the first debate, we've had enough about those damn emails. But this is a little bit more escalated, don't we agree? So, I don't know. Really, what do you guys think? Here, I wrote something up on Facebook and Google G+, under the other candidates. I put it in G+, in my collection. Since the debate is off the table, why should Bernie have to bring up this issue? Or maybe the question is, how would addressing it benefit him? Anyone, as I mentioned in the opening here, can easily read the Inspector General's report and even research the too numerous to name corporate media's attention given to this scandal. Would it be perceived that he's taken advantage of this situation if he were to jump on this issue? Or would it be the perception of the masses that he is shying away from it? Yeah, because you know how she jumps on, oh, he's being sexist, oh, this isn't fair, So would that be, you know, under that category? Would people say that, you know, she's a fellow Democrat, you gotta support her and all that? Or would they be on the other side of the fence? That he's being too kind, too liberal, he doesn't really want to win. Because if he did want to win, he would attack her on this, because this is a very easy target to attack. So I don't know. Looking forward to hearing your comments, burners.